Welcome and welcome again. I know that a lot of people don't want to acquiesce to the truth. The word of God is living and is sharper than any two-edged sword. Yes, it was given to me, so that's why I quote it like that. And I'm gonna show you why. The title of this video. The title of this video is the first and great commandment is really one. It's not two, as is written in Matthew 22 verse 34, Matthew 22 verse 34 to 40. On these two commandments, on all the laws and the prophet, it's really one. On this one commandment hang all the law and the prophet. And I'm going to take a liberty here as someone unknown, someone not great. I'm not a great influencer, but as I see it, I believe the Spirit of God working to the foolishness of people. I'm using it for reference, the foolishness of people, because pretty much people don't really want to listen to the foolish things of God. But when you look at the first and great commandment, it's really one. And I'm going to show you by a few verses. I'm going to show you by a few verses that this is really one. So it says here in verse 34, as you read through it, they testing Jesus about the law and codes and statutes and stuff like that. You could read it and see that these guys are hypocrites, which are lawyers. And we know that today, that lawyers and we know that these guys are hypocrites because the system make it for them, and because they want political power, they just have to do that to get into office. So the Pharisees is no difference from the religious lawyers of today. But when the Pharisees, verse 30 say, heard that he had put to silence the Sadducees, they were gathered together. And then one of them asked him, which is a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? And Jesus said unto them, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. Let me stop right here. This first commandment, and I'm going to take the liberty here and the power that is invested in me to say that this commandment cannot stand by itself. This commandment, which is the first and great commandment, is void. It cannot stand by itself. It cannot be anything by itself. It has to be attached to something earthly. It doesn't matter what nobody want to say, because it has been proven through history that people will love God with one article in one hand saying that they love God, and prophesy, declare that they love God, and with a sword in the next hand. And if you don't acquiesce to their understanding of who the creator is, God is the creator of everything, mankind also, they will literally kill you. So it's weird that they love God that they can't see, which John, we're going to go to it, and part of it, John says, you can't love God and hate your brother. You can't love God and kill your brother. It doesn't make sense. So this commandment by itself is void. Then he says, and the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now the law makes sense. So it's really one law which should be written or read like this. When they ask, which is the greatest commandment, Jesus should have said, and I can't say the person and write it this way, but this is how it should be written. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. It shouldn't even say, and the second is like it, but you should say, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. It should all be connected. Why? Many church and government love God, but not their people. You see how it works? So it's not two commandments, because if it's two commandments, everybody can say them love God, and when they kill, they can say they still love God. But the love of God have to manifest in you, and then show that indeed the two goes together. It's really one commandment. The one commandment. And everybody think that the manifestation of God should be good. it cannot be evil. Everybody agree, even if that's by faith, even if it is not proven, everybody, I believe, even those who said there's no God, they believe that the manifestation of God should be good. Then we can deal with what good mean, and people can lie and do all kind of thing. But everybody believes that the manifestation of God should be good. So you can't love God and not love people, that you say. So you have to test every spirit. We have to even test this that we are reading. You can't just get a law and not test it. Because even John gonna say in John 4, he's gonna say test every spirit. So this that we're reading, which is word, is spirit. It was the spirit form first, and it manifested into experience, and then it's now written for our learning, our example through the ages. So even this got to be tested, and I'm telling you that this first law is void without the second. So it's really one law. And then it says, on these two commandments, which should be said, on this commandment and all the law and the prophet. But why? Because the law must always benefit people. It always must give people a liberty through goodness to be profitable, and profitable meaning they become profitable citizens amongst their society. So they have to be, that's what the laws have to. And if the laws fail, that means people who are not astute would follow it and end up into the pit. Let's show you that what I'm saying is taken from this book that I was given. I didn't write this book. So here what John says. Let's look what First John says now. We're gonna look for First John. We're gonna look at First John, because some people have to see the black and white, you know, because people nowadays. Look at First John 4:16 and 21 say. First John 4, we're going to read from 18 right here. It says, my little children, let not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Exactly. So when you say you love God with all your mind, your heart, your soul, it means nothing. Because John here says, little children, let us not love in word. So I'm going to talk to the government, and I'm going to talk to churches. You can't just love in word, neither in tongue, meaning in language, any language, Spanish, French, Italian, whatever. Don't love in word, neither in tongue, languages, but in deed and in truth. That means in works and in truth. Let's see it. And hereby we know that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him. For if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart, and knoweth all things. Actually, this is not the one I wanted. It's 4:16. First John 4. Oh, my bad. I was reading First John 3. Let's look at First John 4, verse 16 right here. It says, 16. And we have known and believe the love that God had to us. God is love, and he that dwell in love dwell in God, and God in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. You know, here is this for government and churches, which there is no separation between state and church. That's a lie. That's not true. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he's a liar. For he that love not his brother, whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? And this is the commandment that we have from him, that we who love God love his brother also. So you see that I wasn't lying. John right here clearly identified this is just one law. He said right here in verse 21, and this one commandment have we from him, that if he who love God love his brother also. So when you read Matthew 22, 34 to 40, and it says that It's 2 commandments. It's really 1 commandment. Here, John clearly identifies that this is the 1 commandment. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he had seen, how can he love God whom he had not seen? So here John clearly identifies, it's really one law. And he says in verse 21, and this commandment we have from him. So any government who say them love God and don't set up institution, don't set up things that people, as they call it, meritocracy, the meritocracy have to be real, and it have to be functionable, and it have to be profitable. Of course, we know there are obstacles because people it's really people that create obstacles, and which are government. So basically that's it. Even though John says test every spirit in John 4 verse 1, believe, he said, no, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirit whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. I don't have to read anymore. And so even we reading John right now have to test the spirit that is written down for us by example. We have to test it and see, and many of it is true, and see if it is true. And even in Acts 17 verse 11, when we see Acts 17, let's go to Acts 17 verse 11, we can see that Acts 17 verse 11, after the Jews were running down Paul and he went to Berea, it says right here, and the brethren immediately sent Paul and Silas, verse 10, by night to Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. These were more nobler than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scripture daily whether those things were so. Therefore, this is the result. Many of them believe, also of honorable women, which were Greeks, and of men, not a few. So you see what they did. Even when Paul came to them and teaching them that Jesus was the Christ, which we actually don't believe today, because a lot of people are waiting for the second coming. But we are reading here that Jesus came before, and they are looking for the second coming, which is a whole different other topic. They're looking at the second coming, which I don't know how they understand the second coming, because Jesus came already and it is written down as an example, and they left laws and they left examples. So I don't know why we're waiting, looking for Jesus to come, because it is spirit. So thank you again for listening. So the topic was, even if I bumble through this, I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, because people, even me too, people attention span is just too short today. So no man can love God, no government, no church can love the Creator and not love man, and set up institution, laws that actually can benefit men as they go through this life. Peace and love.